All right, welcome to the 2019 mid-season ADP review. We are looking at players that have really underperformed their ADP today. We're going to talk about 5 of them. Number 1, Odell Beckham Jr. We got Joe Mixon. We have Brandin Cooks. We have O.J. Howard. And finally, we have Baker Mayfield. Let's kick it off with Odell Beckham. Matt, your thoughts on Odell Beckham, who was wide receiver 5 in drafts this year?
Yeah, I had him as wide receiver number 4 for PPR going into the year. I thought this offense was just ready to blow up. It looked good last year. Odell coming in, the situation looked right. Unfortunately, their offensive line has been terrible, and I think that's the main reason that they've struggled so much. We thought with Jarvis Landry taking away some coverages, Njoku in the middle, Chubb as a running threat, everything looked right for Odell to just go in and light the lamp, and we have not seen it. Hopefully we can get it going before the end of the year here, but it's not looking good.
Yeah, he's wide receiver 28 in PPR right now through 6 games. His receiving average would put him a bit higher, but not much higher, as there are people with better averages below him as well. It's very frustrating what's happened with Cleveland because they've let everybody down other than Nick Chubb owners who have been very happy with the returns on him. Rest of the season, if you were to draft again right now with this offense that's currently playing against the Patriots and trailing, where would you draft Odell Beckham? Which wide receiver spot?
He would hover about wide receiver number between 15 and 20. Probably 15-ish. Closer to 15 than 20.
Okay.
I'm
going to try to put 15 guys ahead of him for you.
Okay.
All right. DeAndre Hopkins,
yes.
Devontae Adams,
Yep.
Michael Thomas,
Yep.
Julio Jones, Mike Evans,
Yep.
Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
We're at 6 now. Diggs.
Right now, yes.
So that's 7. Did I say Keenan Allen?
No. You have not said Keenan Allen.
Would you like Keenan Allen above
Yep.
him? That's
Right
8. Amari Cooper.
Yep.
9. Kenny Golladay.
Yep.
10.
Godwin's 11.
Godwin's 11. What about AJ Green?
No, I wouldn't take AJ ahead of him.
Allen Robinson?
No.
DJ Chark?
No.
Tyler Lockett?
No.
Oh, that's tough. I mean, he just keeps getting it done.
I know, but I think Odell's going to turn this around a little bit too. I've got him about wide receiver. Well, I guess maybe around wide receiver 12 then, because that's.
Yeah, I don't see any other name here that's jumping out at me that I think that would challenge, unless your love for Mike Williams goes that deep.
No, not above Odell.
What about Cortland Sutton?
I would take Odell ahead of him.
So that's gonna do. That's gonna be about 12.
Yeah.
I would take Lockett ahead of Beckham in standard, but not in PPR, just because the volume's never there for Lockett.
No.
He could do his damage on 3 catches, or Beckham could easily say an 8, 9, 10, 12 day, so that'll balance out. But Odell Beckham, that offense has been very, very disappointing for everyone. Let's talk about somebody who was actually pretty decent today. I mean, as good as he's been, 1 touchdown and decent running yards, and that's Joe Mixon, who was the 11th running back taken off the board, 19th overall in drafts this year in PPR. Matt, where would you take Joe Mixon if you were to draft today for the rest of the season?
I'm gonna say.
Would he be undrafted for you?
No. I would say about running back 16, 17-ish, that high.
So you're only dropping him about 5 spots from where he was drafted in the offseason.
Yeah, he had a good day today. I mean, when AJ comes back, they're going to have a little bit more weapons, so teams will start assuming that they don't trade AJ Green too. Like, this is
that's a big assumption.
But they've been saying that they're not going to be trading AJ, which is really bad decision making on their team. Yep. But anyway, their offensive line has been bad, but they were a little bit better against the Rams today. Maybe teams will start caring less about Joe Mixon. Maybe they're going to back off a bit. I just can't think of more than like 16 players I'd take ahead of him.
All right, well, I'm going to try and find 16 players you're going to take ahead of him, and I think it's going to be fairly easy. So let's get some big ones out of the way. Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, David Johnson, who should only miss one more game. James Conner, Ezekiel Elliott,
Yep.
Le'Veon Bell,
Mm-hmm.
Nick Chubb,
Mm-hmm.
Dalvin Cook,
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Jones,
Mm-hmm.
or at 10. Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette,
Yep.
Josh Jacobs,
Yep.
Devonta Freeman,
Probably go Mixon there.
Chris Carson,
Okay.
Sony Michel.
I'd take Mixon.
I would not. David Montgomery.
No, I'd take Mixon.
I agree. Derrick Henry.
Henry, sure.
That's 16.
I only had 15 there.
Oh.
Okay.
I guess I have 16 because I have Sony Michel.
Yeah.
Tevin Coleman.
No, Mixon there still. Just because Coleman with Breda and Tran, I just don't
Currently
think
on
it.
4 touchdowns, Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, today.
Mark Ingram.
Rest of the season, I'd still take Mixon.
Melvin Gordon.
Okay, I'd take Gordon. No.
Marlon Mack.
I'd take Mixon.
Austin Eckler.
Mixon. This is PPR though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still take Mixon. It's close with Eckler though.
Lindsey.
No, Eckler. No, Mixon.
Tariq Cohen.
No, we're at Mixon from the rest of the way. So I guess he's running back 17. Drops down 6 spots. I still have some faith that this gets turned around just like Beckham.
LaShawn McCoy.
No, give me Mixon unless he becomes the lead back there in Kansas City, like by a stretch.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I guess I have him around 20 then, which I would think the drop would be bigger, but the amount of running backs we get the full workload in the NFL has gone down so much that he's basically at the end of that opportunity because David Montgomery's not getting the full load, but he's basically last on that list. And after that, you're looking at somewhat timeshares, a Mark Ingram situation where he's probably going to lose carries as the season goes on. Phillip Lindsay, who's splitting. Marlon Mack would be the one for me. I would take him above Mixon just because he's getting the carries. Mixon's at the end of that road for me. But yeah, I'd even take Devonta Freeman, who I don't like, over him because I think that there's a real problem with that offensive line, and I don't think they'll get it fixed. But let's move on to the next player on our list here, and that is Brandin Cooks. Concussion today, second concussion of the season. Also had one in the Super Bowl last year. This is getting pretty scary, especially if you're in Dynasty. Player who was drafted as a wide receiver 15 in PPR leagues for 2019. Matt, where would you rank him if you had to redraft again, assuming he's healthy after the bye?
Okay, with the assumption that he's healthy, he's still the second wide receiver on LA that I'm looking at. I'm still taking him above Woods. I'm going to say he would go in about 25 to 30. About 27, 28 off the top of my head here. I think that's a good spot for him because I would still start him in most two receiver leagues, especially in a flex, in a PPR.
Yeah, he's just inside the top 30 in points right now. He does have an extra week on some players. His average is about 11.2 per game in PPR, which is tied with D.D. Westbrook. So not very good. He is ahead of players like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but behind a player like Curtis Samuel for average.
No, he's been not very good this year, for sure. He's had 1, maybe 2 touchdowns and not very many big games, but the potential for the big game is always there. Yeah. So that's the risk of leaving him on your bench.
And I think, too, looking at this, he's had 2 games that he's had to leave. Yeah. So although it says he's played 7 games and averaged 11.2, he's basically played 5 and a little bit games. So he's averaging a little bit higher than that. I think the outside chance of being a top 25 wide receiver and the big game's still there. Obviously more value in standard. So I think maybe inside the top 25 in standard and about wide receiver 30 in PPR. Well, you're going to get guys like Emmanuel Sanders who might find some new life here in San Francisco, scored today. See how that goes. But guys like Alshon Jeffrey who are at 31 right now and tend to get passed over in drafts because they're a little bit older would be a player that I'd happily take in PPR ahead of Brandin Cooks, the way Brandin Cooks has been playing, which was not something I would have ever thought I'd say before the draft. So,
no, for sure.
Moving on here, we have O.J. Howard, who we've talked about. I think there's 2 videos already on the channel about him. So if you want to know more about O.J. Howard, find those videos. Link will be in the description. He didn't play today, injured after the bye. He was tight end 4, 56th overall. So that is 4th, 5th round. where would you draft him, or would you draft him today? Or is he somebody who should be available, which he is on more than 50% of Yahoo leagues at least?
He's a tough one. I don't know if I'd leave him undrafted altogether, but he would be one of those guys that you're looking to grab at the very end of the draft. He's not going middle of the draft anymore, or even semi-middle, like round 10 or 11. He's going like round 14, 15, right at the end.
You're basically punting on tight end and taking him now.
Yeah.
Because he's just a TJ Hawkinson, like, oh, maybe he'll get it done. That's basically where he's at.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason for why he's taking such a drop-off aside from that head coach, Bruce Arians. He just doesn't like the tight ends.
Tight ends without a block.
Yeah, and Godwin's been a big beneficiary of it, like we mentioned in another video here. I'm thinking, yeah, he's going right at the end. He's around the guys like Jimmy Graham and etc. Mike Gesicki area.
No, not that far.
Not quite.
Come on.
But you know what I mean? He's a guy like, he's going to be like tight end 12, 13 that you just grab
Jared
at the
Cook.
end. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, if you punt on tight end, you'd be looking to grab an O.J. Howard now. Of course, he has that upside. Like, if they start using him, as they lost again today without him, if they start using him, he has that ability, that high upside. So even though we're talking about him really low for the rest of the season, as the offseason rolls on and things change, he might be back in the top 5 discussion at the end before drafts next year.
They went away from not really went away, but they were rejecting like trade discussions for him. So they must have something in mind for him.
Last player on the list, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Matt, your thoughts on Baker, who is quarterback
4.
And is currently performing, I think it was in the 20s.
Yeah, like 26 or so. Baker, I had him at number 4. You had him at number 4. We all thought same reason as Odell, right? We all thought everything was shaping up for this offense, and it's just been a complete dud. Lots of potential there, so that they can get this thing turned around. If not this year, for next season, they can start maybe build some blocks in the O-line through the draft or free agency. But Baker is about quarterback 20 for me going forward for this season only.
Yeah, he'll probably be higher going into next season, just because, I don't know, you'll be lower on a guy who like Phillip Rivers, who's a year older. Depending on if Ben Roethlisberger comes back, you'll start not believing Dak Prescott again. I think Russell Wilson is in a running offense, but you'll still be ahead of him. This is just a really sad situation. And this is why we've said at least once before that you should wait on quarterback when you're doing a draft, because the sample size for some of these guys that jump up the boards is really small. Sure, Deshaun Watson looked good that 1 year in like 5 games, and he was drafted as quarterback 1 or 2 last year, and he delivered. He's been a top 5 guy. But then Patrick Mahomes had shown it for 1 game, and he was drafted as quarterback like in the 11th round, and look what you got from that. When you're drafting, it's all about getting that value. If you're grabbing Baker at the number 4 quarterback, which I didn't do in any leagues. Matt, did you do that in any leagues?
I did not.
No, I don't think I drafted a quarterback before a double-digit round in any leagues other than a 2-quarterback league.
Right, those are exceptions.
Yeah, so Baker, you're taking him at 60. That's the end of the 5th round. You're wasting your 5th-round pick. You could have gotten a fantastic player, and now your season is just in shambles.
And we talked about this in the overachievers. Lamar Jackson was taken a good 5 rounds later, I'm going to say. Way better. This is why you wait. You can hit a Lamar Jackson. And we didn't think there would be a huge gap between a lot of these guys going into the season. Yeah,
we thought quarterback was really deep. We obviously didn't think Baker would be this bad, but we don't take quarterbacks early, so we haven't had to deal with this. If you have, you should probably subscribe to the channel. Make sure you get this information so you don't do that again next year. A couple things to mention before we wrap up. We didn't talk about players that were like DJ Chark, who was most likely not drafted in most leagues, who's really overperformed. Terry McLaurin has done that as well. And the Oakland situation, where if you drafted while Antonio Brown was still there, you got burnt. And if you drafted after that, you probably got Tyrell Williams. Or if you got Tyrell Williams beforehand, who was a player that we said, grab him and see what he does for the first couple of weeks. And if he blows up, then you keep him. And if he doesn't, you drop him. And same with Darren Waller, that tight end situation was more of a free agent grab. So didn't discuss those in either of the episodes. Of course, link to the other episode will be at the end of this video. Matt, anything to add?
Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. Hopefully you're doing both.
That's it.